Welcome to the shop again this morning. It's a frosty morning out there. Getting into winter, getting closer to Christmas, of course, now that Thanksgiving is all over with. Got a little project here this morning I thought we'd make for Christmas. It's a little cross. You can use it as a hanging ornament. You could hang it on a wall. You could put it on a tree, decoration around your house. A lot of possibilities. I'm going to use a piece of poplar that I cut down to about 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. And this is going to be the main body of the cross. It's about a 1/2 inch thick, almost 1/2 inch thick. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut the letters out of this piece of cherry, just like that, and the star also. You'll notice that the cross also has these little cuts as decoration pieces, which we'll cut out too on the scroll saw. But what I want to do with the lettering is make what I refer to as a raised inlay. And instead of just gluing it down on the top or cutting it out of the cross, I'm going to take this and cut it out of this piece of wood, which is about 1/4 inch thick, and glue it down on there as you would normally. I'm going to do the same thing with the star up the top here, as you would normally. Let it dry, but then I'm going to take it over to the belt sander, and I'm going to sand this down, the lettering and the star, to within a hair of their existence, so that it's really thin. The only thing that's going to be left over is a really thin representation of the word and the star. And then we're going to smooth that out a bit, and then what we'll do is coat it with a clear sealer, so that the sealer comes right up along the edges of the lettering and even flows over it, so that it looks almost like it's just been a little bit, like it's part of the wood, but it's a little bit raised. Now that's my plan. Will it work? I don't know. We'll find out. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is take our body board, so to speak, and back off here a bit. You see what I'm doing. So we'll take our body board, and as usual, we will tape it up. If I can find the groove on the tape here. Prepare for cutting. Sand this board down a little bit, but you don't need to do a lot, because it's going to go through a lot of sanding anyways. The tape, of course, is to attach the pattern, and also go with the saw blade, cut through a little easier, since the lubricant on the tape helps the blade. Okay, so we take that, and we now take the cross that we cut out. By the way, if you want the pattern for this, you can get it at my Etsy store. Just click the link down below, and you can download the pattern and use it along with the video here. And as usual, you won't just get that pattern. You'll get a whole bunch of little patterns that go along with it. Sort of a grab bag of patterns. Could be Christmas related, could be general type patterns. I try to put in a lot of extra patterns that I've done over the years that you might find useful, and most people do, so I think it works pretty good. So if you want to click on that link, it'll take you there. This pattern is a very inexpensive one, and you get a whole bunch of things with it. Plus, if you haven't ordered anything in the past, you will also get another package of patterns that I automatically send to all the people who make a purchase. Purchase, of course, helps to support my channel and my work. And it's not a huge sum that I charge, as you will readily see. Welcome any comments on these patterns too. You can leave them in the comments down below, and maybe you got some ideas to help improve it, which I'm sure would be the case. Okay, so we're going to take this now and go over to the scroll saw and cut it out. Okay, we're over at the scroll saw here now, and I drilled out the big hole up at the top of the cross up here. Use that to hang the cross if you want. And I've also drilled some entry holes where they need to be cut out. So we'll do those entry hole cuts first. Let's get those out of the way. These are going to be purely decorative. There's no reason for them. If you would decide you don't like those, you can leave them out. I think they add a little dimension to the cross. And we're using number 5 reverse tooth blade, of course, as I usually do. A catastrophe here. Our blade came loose at the bottom, of course, and almost done. That's usually the way it happens, but I'm gonna change this blade. It was probably due for a new one anyways, so I'll do that and I'll come back. Okay, I fixed that blade, got a new one in here now, and reinserted it in the hole. Let's finish it off. It's only a little tiny bit. I think it would have lasted, but it didn't. Okay, let's finish that hole. Alright, nice sleek edge to that cross now. That little piece taken out. Looks a little better. We're going to round over those edges of the cross too, which will make them kind of nice. Here we go. Okay, I've cut the cross out, and I drilled a hole, about a 1/4 inch hole at the top, and everything seems to come out nicely. I'll just peel this pattern off. It's a nice piece of poplar that I came across. Has a nice grain in it. Could have used a darker wood here, a lighter wood for the letters. You can alternate it whichever way you want to do that. And in the meantime, I also went and taped up and put the pattern down for the lettering and the star. The lettering, I made it sort of a little bit of an arch so that it fits nicely in the middle, I hope. And the star, of course, will be nice up at the top. And then we'll see how this works at flattening it all out on the bench sander so that it becomes like a little bit of a raised inlay in the middle here. Ought to be interesting to see how that works. All right, I'm going to go cut this out now, and we'll be back at the bench. Okay. Here we go. We'll start by cutting out the star. Okay, we got the lettering cut out and the star cut out. Worked out pretty good. I'm going to peel the patterns off. Both of these come off fairly easy. You're going to look at this and you're going to say, well, you know, you're going to put that lettering on there, and it's obviously a little thick right now. You've got a good chunk of wood you're going to have to sand down. Why don't you say, well, Al, why don't you just cut the thing a lot thinner, and then you won't have to do the sanding? Well, yeah, you could do that if you have the equipment that allows you to cut that thing down really thin. And most people don't. I mean, if you try it on a table saw, it's going to be thin, but you have other problems that develop along the way. I just thought it'd be easier to make it nice and thick. Thicker pieces are easier to cut. You could layer them with other wood, of course, and cut them, but I find this to be maybe a little bit easier. At least I wanted to try it anyways. Right. The first thing I want to do now is go over to the mop sander. I want to smooth this out as much as possible on the sand fleet. Try to get the edges rounded over and clean it all up, and we'll do our mounting later on. You don't really have to round these over right now because they're going to be sanded down paper thin quality anyways. So let's take that over and see how we do that on the mop sander. Just try to get these edges rounded over if we can. Okay, we're over at the sand flea. I'm going to try to round these letters over, as I said. And I'm also going to use the roller on the sand flea to smooth this out a bit too. So here we go. Okay, rounded over all the edges on the cross. Pretty smooth here, and I think we're going to leave it the way it is. Looks pretty good. Okay, the next thing we want to do is glue the lettering to the cross and the star. So what we want to do is put some glue on the back of this lettering. You should make a generous amount. Try to get all points if you can. We'll take one more clamp and put it down on the star. Okay, we're going to let that dry for about an hour or so, and then we'll come back and take a look at it, and then we'll see just how well my little plan is going to work here for skimming these letters down. I'm going to have to take off an awful lot of material. I could have probably cut the lettering board a little bit thinner, but that's okay. We can manage. Sander should rip all that off without too much of a problem. And then we'll put a little finish on it and see how it looks when it's all done. So go get yourself a coffee, take a break. I'll be back in a little while. Okay, we've had our cross drying here for a little over an hour or so. Hopefully that's going to be enough to keep those letters in place. And we've got a nice little cross here, and really doesn't look too bad that way too. I suppose you could even, you cut it a little thinner on that wood, you could probably even keep it something like that. But that's not what our goal is. Our goal is to get that down to a nice thin size so that it looks like it's a little bit of a raised inlay. So let's go over to the bench sander and see what we can do. Okay, here's my trusty old Skill bench sander. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn it on, and we're going to press this down a little bit at a time till we flatten those letters out real tight. Here we go. As you can see, they have come down quite a bit, but we still want to go further, see if we can get them nice and flat and not completely wipe them out altogether. Now, if you're going to do this, you got to be very careful. Make sure you roll your sleeves up and keep your hands away from the sander. Otherwise, it'll give you a quick manicure, which you probably won't want. So here we go. Again, we're getting down there. A little more to go. As you can see, it's very thin now. Let's go in for the kill here. Well, we got a disaster here. Went down too far. Tried to cut it too close, and of course, the end of Noel got hacked off, and part of the star got hacked off too. Great thing about this, of course, is that you can always cut it again, and this is the way you get to know how much you can do and how much you can't do. I'm going to scrape that all off now, and we're going to start over again. Looks pretty clean, huh? Okay. I'm going to cut out another Noel and another star, and we'll give it another try. Okay, let's give this another try. Try to be more careful this time. I used a piece of purple heart for the star and the Noel this time. Let's see how it does after we run it down. As you can see, you got to be very careful not to get too close to the cross part, and yet have just enough so that it's jutting out. So let's see what happens. Okay, I think we've got it down pretty good. It's a lot thinner than it was. Needs some cleaning up now, of course, and should look a lot better when it's all cleaned up and maybe sanded down a little bit on my mop sander. But just got to be careful not to get too close to the wood. We could probably go down a little more, but don't want to chance it at this point. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, we're gonna rub this over the mop sander. See if we can clean it up. And now let's run it by the sand flea roller here. See if we can clean it up and smooth it out a little more. Okay, looking pretty good at this point. Okay, we've run this over the sander, and then we've run it over the mop sander, and what I'm going to do is just take a brush now and clean out any dust that might be hidden in the cracks here, because we want to make this as clean as possible. Anything that's in the crevices here, you might want to use a toothpick on. Some of this wood melted down. And that'll help to take it out. Now, there we go. Okay, now we're ready for finishing. And what we're going to finish it with is just a plain old clear Rust-Oleum spray. And we'll do that over at the paint room, which is actually just another little table. Okay, we're over here in the paint room. There's another little table I have in my shop. And I'm just rattling up a can of this 2X Ultra Cover satin clear coat. And we're going to make a nice thick coat on this cross so that it just comes up along the edges of that pseudo inlay and make it look like it's part of the wood. Here we go. And we've laid that down nice and flat, so that coating should really fit in nicely. And we're going to put about maybe 3 coats on here, make it nice and thick. Alright, so we'll let that dry now, and we'll take a look at this when I'm all finished. Okay, it looks like we've completed this whole project finally, accident and all, but it makes a nice little decoration, and you can see the coating of the spray has made a nice sheen on it. And you of course do other colors, you can do it other ways, but this is the way I've decided to do it. So, well, that wraps this project up. If you'd like to get the pattern, remember you can go on my Etsy store, the link is down below, and you'll not only get this pattern, but you'll get other patterns as well for free. And be sure to click the like button if you happen to like this particular project, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Thank you for watching.